Welcome everyone to Asian Pacific Voices Radio, where you'll find stimulating conversations that explore diverse topics and stories impacting our Asian Pacific American communities. I'm your host, Joanne Whitlock. Today on Asian Pacific Voices Radio, we're joined by a powerhouse of transformation and purpose. She's an award-winning motivational speaker, a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and the managing partner of Harp Ventures. With ancestral roots that trace back to the legendary Qing dynasty and General Tso Tsung-tang, she blends ancient wisdom with modern empowerment. Her work spans across hypnotherapy, coaching, activism, and leadership, and she's made her mark in spaces where the arts, politics, and social change converge. She was recognized as a top 40 global emerging leader, a recipient of the American Courage Award, and was recognized by Forbes Women as an advisor behind initiatives like Women in NAAAP. It's my pleasure to welcome Panney Wei on Asian Pacific Voices Radio. Hi, Panney. How are you?
Hi, how are you? It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, so happy to have you. First off, you have an incredible biography and history. It was a little overwhelming reading through everything on your website, especially everything you've done and accomplished. So we're very happy to have you here.
Same here.
I want to start off with a little bit about your heritage, because that was pretty cool to read. You know, your ancestral line from history to more recent times is very prolific. Tell us a little bit about how that lineage has maybe influenced or inspired your endeavors and your passions. Like, how has that lineage influenced your path as a modern day change maker?
First of all, I'm very, very honored to be here and always very, very excited when I can share any of my lived experience and wisdom with the Asian Pacific Islander community. But to answer your question, so my ancestor on my father's side is General Tso, or Tso Tsung-tang in Mandarin, Chinese, and he lived during the Qing dynasty. And this was the 1800s all the way to the turn of the century, the 1900s, before Chiang Kai-shek came through to China to try to establish a republic. He's very, very important in our family heritage and legacy because the values he instilled in his, with his legacy and in our family is something that I carry on. And it has to do with finding a purpose in life, being able to contribute to changing culture, making a positive social impact. He was very instrumental in, expanding China and also bringing Western values to China as well. And many of my ancestors on my father and my mother's side have been very influential in politics and business and art and culture in both China and Taiwan. So with him, he's best known in American pop culture for the iconic dish, General Tso's chicken. Yeah, so it's a fun fact in my family. It was started in Taiwan, and then it traveled to New York's Chinatown in the 1970s when one of a chef in New York's Chinatown created a dish that was for more the American palate, which was called General Tso's chicken. And it's kind of like a flavorful, almost like a breaded chicken dish, which is sweet and sour, a little bit more sweet for the American palate. And then it kind of spread like wildfire through America in many of the Chinese restaurants. So it's an interesting thing because most people don't realize that he's actually a real life person. They think it's sort of just a name of a chicken dish that is like so popular now. But he was a real influential hero in China in the Qing dynasty. And he was a Marquess, Qing, which is, he was the Marquess of Tranquility and Respect. So all of his descendants carry the noble title in their life. If dynastic time still exists and there was an emperor, we would all have that noble title to carry on to my descendants as well. So, he accomplished a lot for China, and we're very proud to have him as part of our family too.
What a cool little tidbit. I mean, I've definitely had my fair share of General Tso's chicken, so that's pretty amazing to have that run through your bloodline. I mean, that's basically royalty in your bloodline. So thanks for that little background story. So you worked in a wide range of fields. Like I said, I went through your website, arts, activism, politics. What have you learned about using your voice across such diverse spaces, and how do you stay rooted in that purpose?
I think it's so important for every individual, especially the young generation, to really, really try to define what their unique voice might be, or how you want to express your life purpose in this world. And because of my family's legacy and the influence of people like General Tso, and my mom's father was a senator in Taiwan, Senator Liu Chen. I grew up with these values of really trying to figure out what it is that I want to contribute to the world, and how do I make a meaningful contribution? How do I create a long lasting impact, social and cultural, and in the way that I can uniquely express it. And it's something that I share with my daughter, who's 14, and how she can, define her life. And it's what I share with the next generation. So I think that's really important. The way I do it is I do it through, the food and beverage space as a restaurateur. I do it through the in entertainment and arts, because I think arts and the entertainment is an area where you can create a long lasting legacy and leave, these beautiful works of art, whether they're film or Broadway musicals or shows that I've been producing. It's something that I can leave behind. And also in the wellness space, because I have a background as a clinical hypnotherapist and studied mind body psychology. So I'm very interested in helping to shape culture, also in the wellness space, to help our community especially break any intergenerational trauma and patterns that get passed down from generation to generation. And so that's where I think like, if I can make a change there, where I can elevate our community, not only personally in their own spiritual journey in life, but also in the work that I do, through the restaurants I'm a part of that help bridge culture through food, and also through the film and media projects that I'm creating. Then I feel like I've done my part. So I think that everyone is going to, finds a way to express themselves uniquely. And this is just one of, this is the way I happen to manifest it in my lifetime.
I love that your passion just kind of influences across all the different spaces and areas and fields, like you said. So you're not just kind of down a single tunnel. Like you touch many people's lives because, maybe not everybody that's fully focused on wellness or fully focused on just the arts. Like you influence all of that. You said you were a certified hypnotherapist.
Yes.
So I was like in the intro, I definitely want to go back to that. That's fascinating to me. I don't know if I've ever actually met or known a hypnotherapist. So with that, you help people break through mental blocks and heal from within. So for those
Yes.
listeners who are unfamiliar with what exactly that is, can you explain the power of hypnotherapy and how that facilitates real transformation?
Yes. So hypnotherapy, I was interested in it because as I was doing speaking engagements and, speaking at conferences, speaking to women, speaking to our API community, I started noticing that a general question that would come up would be about, expectations that happen from their parents that get pushed down onto them, and how do you reconcile that, and how do you break free through some of these intergenerational trauma patterns that get passed down. And so that's why I went to school to study hypnotherapy. And hypnosis works with the power of the subconscious mind. So you and I are using only 12% of our brain right now, but when you use 100% of your brain, you're accessing the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is the area of your brain that carries all of the belief systems about yourself. So they're like positive or negative, it's all embedded in there. So what I started to find was like when people get stuck in a rut or they're stuck in a pattern and they can't break free, it's because you have to go deeper, not just having a cognitive, behavioral therapy exchange with the therapist you're working with, but also to go deeper. And when you go deeper into the subconscious mind, that's where you heal everything. That's where you reinforce all the positive things that you know about yourself. And then you heal and erase and create new neural pathways to get rid of all the negative belief systems about yourself, or any type of negative memories that you hold on to. We hold on to so much because our brain is a sponge, and it contains all the memories of our entire life and our childhood. And so, so I think, like, especially for those of us who are parents, that's why it's so important to be mindful of what you say to your child, how you speak to them, how you reinforce how they feel about themselves and believe about themselves. because you have the power to affect them in the most profound and deep ways, and also unconscious ways too.
That's so fascinating to me because I am a huge believer of the power of the mind. Like I'm a big runner, but there are times where I don't feel like I can keep going. But even something as simple as telling
Yeah.
yourself like positive reinforcement. So that is super fascinating to me. I'll definitely be looking more into that after our interview. So thanks. So with hypnotherapy, you said that you got that from public speaking, but then you're also, you're a restaurateur, entrepreneur, podcaster. So you wear so many different hats. Don't know how you do all of it, but how do you balance that inner work of healing with just that external grind of visibility and leadership? Like, how do you balance all of this?
Yes. So basically part of the job as a hypnotherapist is that you're constantly evolving yourself. And so you have to live your life with a lot of self-awareness. Because I am a person that mentors others, and I'm a person that is a caregiver, and people come to me. It's my responsibility to make sure that I stay as grounded as possible and live with that kind of awareness where I practice what I preach. And so everything that I say, I hope I embody it through my actions as well. And how I balance my life is, every day is really different, but because I'm purpose driven and I have a mission driven life, perspective on the projects that I'm a part of and the things that I'm doing in the community also, it doesn't feel like work to me. But I do have those days where it is a little harder than others. But then I talk myself into it. It's a very much an athletic mindset because I grew up as a competitive figure skater, and then I played tennis in college. So my mindset is structured where like I set goals and I try to reach them. And I realize that every day, like just like a figure skater, you're not gonna make a triple salchow jump like overnight. You have to do all the little steps that get you to that goal, and you have to train every day. So I treat every day like that. Some days are harder than others, but I just get myself up. I remember what the long-term goal is, and I talk myself into it. And there's been studies that show that people who do that, especially who are athletes, we do a lot of creative visualization and imagery work when we're preparing for like a competition, or and we, like a figure skater does, we rehearse the routine in our mind, and then we go out there and we actually do the training behind it. So I approach everything I do with the same mindset. So I know I'll have good days, and I know I'll have bad days too. And then, but the long-term goal is the gold medal, that it's a long game for everything that I'm doing too. And I think that that's really important to instill in our children that we're raising, because it's very easy for them, like now in this day and age where I see people want instant gratification. They're on their cell phones, they're on social media, everything's super instant. But I think these values of working hard, making smart choices, getting the right guidance as well, and then having a positive mindset and a champion mindset is very essential for success in life. And that also, like that things aren't going to happen overnight. You really, really have to work hard. And that's part of me being an immigrant. Also I immigrated from Taiwan, so I think that every day how to balance it, you just have to structure it the best you can. I don't know how people say like you can have it all. I don't think that's really possible. I think that you can have it all in moments, different phases of your life. And unless you have an incredible support system, because it does take a village,
For sure.
then, and if you have nannies or whoever, then you could probably accomplish everything. But if you don't have that, it's very hard. So I think that you can have everything that you want in different phases of your life. And, and everything comes in seasons too. So not to put so much pressure on yourself, and to take your, each day as it is for what it is, and try to strive for happiness, the best form of happiness you can have each and every day.
That is so inspiring. I love that self-discipline because we talk about, you're talking about social media. We see all these things in social media and people just kind of are, that's what they want. That's what they see, but that's not realistic. And having that self-discipline too. And I'm going to write this down. I love what you just said about how we can have everything that we want, but not necessarily maybe all at the same time. It's different phases of life. That's going to be part of my favorite quote. That's great. So going back to that, so you talk about helping people see the way. So that was something that you kind of branded. So what does that phrase mean to you personally, and how do you guide others to discover that own path forward? You said, you talk about how you mentor others and you help people guide down that positive thinking and using their mind. So how do you guide people to see the way, like you say?
I think it comes down to also trusting your own instincts. Everyone has an inner voice that is part of your intuition, that is connected to the collective unconscious, that helps guide you. And so when I'm helping people see the way in their life, it is like they might have a goal that they want to achieve, and I help them through those steps to achieve it. And I've had a lot of success with people I've worked with in the past or mentored, where they're going from here to there in their life or their career. I've done workshops on it before in the past too, to help them have those sort of steps where they can visualize their goals into being. Because what happens in the subconscious mind is that it forms pictures. And so whatever you can see and believe, you can achieve it. So you have to first integrate it into your being, believe it, have an idea that you want to manifest or goal, and then see it, really visually see it like athletes do. Like before any competition as a figure skater, I have to go out there and do my 5-minute performance on the ice, right? I'm not only physically training for it, but I'm also mentally training as well. So I'm doing that creative visualization work to imagine every step, go through the entire routine in my mind. And so that's basically what I'm doing with people that I'm working with, and helping them sort of see the way from here to there, whether it's a goal in their personal life or their professional life. It's almost the same sort of steps, actually. The only difference is with your professional life, there might be a clear path, with strategy and mentorship, or how you're going to achieve the goal. In love relationships, a little bit different, because it's contingent upon yourself, your choices, your patterns. Everybody who's dating in the world right now is trying to heal their primary wound from childhood that was established by the primary caretaker that triggered the wound. And so every person that you're attracting in your life is going to, if you're living with self-awareness, you're attracting them so that you can heal. And then once you integrate the lesson, you get the lesson, you learn it, then you move on and you pick a better partner or whatever it might be. But also in love, there's an element of fate, I believe. And I'm obviously writing a book on all of this. There's an element of fate that we cannot control. So we have to sort of live our life the way it is. And I am a person that does believe in karma, and that if you live a just and upright life where you are a good person, you live consciously, and bad things still happen to you, that happens. That's just life. And if that happens, that could be an element of fate, because everyone's destiny is very different. So even when that happens, I do help people see the way through that, because your brain is going to try to reason with you, like, why did this happen to me? I'm such a good person. And you have to tell yourself it must happen for a reason so that you can learn. Just telling your logical part of your mind is comfort enough in knowing that sometimes these things happen, and they happen, and maybe someone else has better karma than you in the area of love, and you're looking at them, you're like, what the hell? They have like the perfect partner, and they've got ideal children, and they live this kind of life, and you're like, why don't I have that? Well, maybe your karma is just different, and you are meant to go through these very difficult experiences so that you could overcome them and have the wisdom and the knowledge, and so that you have the comfort in knowing you never have to repeat the same lesson again if you really learn it. And then maybe your good karma comes in another area. Maybe you're better in business. Business is flowing to you, but that other person who has great relationship karma is suffering in the business. It all balances out in the end. So I think when you're referencing, you were talking about social media, and you're looking at people's lives, I think it's really important not to have social media malaise, which is a real thing that happens in some of the what has society has created through social media, and that what I see with people I'm working with in the past, or I hope in the future. But a lot of the times it's that sort of comparison, and you're constantly comparing yourself to another person. And I think it's also really important to be very discerning about who you're comparing yourself with, because if the person isn't someone that is a good person or good quality or whatever, don't compare yourself with them, because it's like you want to be in their shoes anyways, and they're not. Like, the only people I compare myself with is like my mentor. She has a life that I really respect and admire. She's a mom. She's a working mom. She has 3 children that are very successful. Like, she has good values. She has integrity. She doesn't do anything to try to harm people. She doesn't act out of ego. Very simple virtues, but she lives a very good life, and in terms of like, she's mindful of how she interacts with others and creating negative karma for herself. So I really feel like, helping people sort of go through that so that they honor themselves and they feel good, and helping them like see the way to that. Yeah, I would love to help people continuously, to help them reach their fullest potential, and figure out what their voice is, and their life path and purpose. Because I think everyone has something to contribute to this world, and we need everyone's contribution now more than ever.
Right. And
we need
everybody is just as
now more
important.
than ever.
For sure. And everybody is just as important. Like you said, we're all so unique, and comparison is the thief of joy, is one of the quotes that I love.
Yes.
So that is so true.
Yeah.
You are such a positive person. You have so much positivity to bring. So I kind of want to focus on, I'm sure even the most positive person like yourself has had to overcome some challenges. So, can you describe a time during your whole journey when you faced significant challenge in your work? It could be racial or gender stereotyping, naysayers who may have doubted the legitimacy of what you do, misconceptions of your work, or any of those challenges, and how you overcame that.
I'm going to bring up 2 things that came to mind. But one would be going through a life transition that was very, very difficult. And it was, for me, I was with my partner for 14 years, and then we went through divorce. And I think when you go through challenges like that, and it's reflective of anybody who has gone through a very intense breakup, where you created a life and a dream with someone, and then it was sort of all shattered. And then, when we recently had our fires here in LA, in Pacific Palisades and Eaton Canyon, even though my house did not burn down, I saw it as a metaphor, because anytime, a physical home breaks down, it's a physical thing. It's not the home. It's not the physical home. It's the life you created that's gone. That's what people are mourning about. Not just the physical things, but it's the dream. The dream is gone. And so that's what I experienced in my divorce and transitioning out of it, and really seeing things shift and change, not only personally, but professionally, and seeing friends sort of choose sides or whatever, and feeling the loss of all of that, the loss of the dream, the loss of the home, the loss of the family, and being able to rebuild again. And I think that you see that in your private life, you see it in your professional life, but I think it takes a lot of mental strength and fortitude to be able to stay hopeful. As I watch my friends who have lost their homes in the fires rebuild, I'm reminded of the journey that I've had to, and I had to overcome as well. And I think that when you go through things like that, you have to remind yourself that the human spirit is so resilient. The human spirit is so powerful, and you can overcome anything in life, even if it's, a heartbreak, even if it's a loss of your job, the loss of your resources. So many people are experiencing that right now. Just know that you can overcome anything in life, and that it will bounce back, because the pendulum swings from one extreme to another, and it will always find its balance. So if you can remind yourself of that it's hard right now, and you're going to get through it. I think that would be, that's what you have to tell yourself, because there's no other way out. You can, if you're already rock bottom, the only way you can go is up. And the other thing I want to bring up is something that I'm seeing in society now, because especially our rights are being taken away as women, is that I do see that we need to do a really good job as to raise the next generation of young boys into young men, into honorable men. Because there are times when I'm I serve on multiple boards for different nonprofit organizations. And what I constantly see sometimes is mansplaining happening, where you're just like, and they're just going aggro and they're bullying you or whatever, just to make a point, just because they want to be mean. And then the woman has to stand up and use her voice to be reasonable and be very calm. And this happens in society. It happens in the Asian Pacific community. Our fellow Asian brothers also are not perfect, and I would love for women, this is like obviously speaking to the women for this moment, is to just remember that it's the best thing you could do is empower your fellow sisters. I see a lot of women hating on women getting competitive, women being really obnoxious and disrespectful. That's not okay, because look at the uphill battle we have to fight, to even have a voice and have a respect with men who don't respect us. So women have to help uplift each other. If I'm only speaking to those sisters that are listening, that's super important, because when you're in those like boardrooms where, this just happened to me, where I was presenting something with logic and reason, and it was something to benefit the organization, but I was getting mansplained by two guys that just wanted to just be jerks. In the end, we were trying to nominate individuals for an award. In the end, my nomination went through and everyone still voted on mine.
That's awesome.
But it's exhausting. That's what I'm saying. So it's like that sort of level of disrespect still happens. It's very subtle towards women. And I think when that happens, you have to be strong. You have to be calm. Don't overreact. Don't be the thing that they want to, accuse us of, is we're so emotional as women and we are out of control and we don't think level-headed. No, just be so calm and strong and stick to your guns, stick to your integrity, stick to your values, stick to your truth. And even if they throw their temper tantrums, we're seeing it right now when you're watching any of the Senate hearings right now. If you go on C-SPAN, you're watching it. You watch how those Congress members who are women who are standing up for what's right. And it's really hard work. So I would say, like, don't give up. Don't give up to the women out there. Like, stand up for yourself, stand up for your voice. Like, now more than ever, it's super, super, super important. If you see something that isn't feeling right with you, you have to speak up. You have to use your voice to make a difference. Everyone can make a difference.
I love that. My normal day to day, I am in a very male dominated career field, and you can understand I am 5'2", Asian, female. So usually I'm the only one that looks like me in any given room that I'm in. So absolutely. Anytime that I say something, a male would probably say the exact same way. I mean, but they're assertive. They're a leader. So yeah, definitely having to fight through that.
Yes.
I absolutely love that. So I think that's fantastic advice to all our female listeners. Yes, I love the girl power. So we're almost out of time, and you gave some great advice, but I definitely want to do a quick, fun lightning round with you.
Okay.
Just to kind of get to know you a bit better. I'll ask a few random questions, and then you give me the first thing that pops to mind in less than 30 seconds.
Okay.
Morning mantra or affirmation?
Simply, I can do it.
Perfect. I love it. One book that changed your life?
I really loved Conversations with God. It's oh my goodness, the author escapes me at this moment, but I love that book. For some reason, I think it manifested in my life at a time where I was on my spiritual journey, And the book was by Neil Donald Walsh. And I was going through just a life transition, and, it came at the right time, and it had so much wisdom, but it was a pleasant read, and it healed areas in my heart. And I just love it. I think it's just a great book to read for anybody.
Awesome. I love it. Power color that you wear when you need a confidence boost.
I believe in power colors, and I believe in feng shui also. And you can do, there's color therapy that exists. You can go to those consultants, but I know what my power colors are. So it's any like earthy tones and white. So I'll usually wear that.
Awesome. Favorite dish at one of the restaurants that you've invested in? You can't say General Tso's.
No, of course not. Everyone asks me that. Oh, they're like, do you have your own recipe for General Tso's chicken? I'm like, yes, we do. I know how to make it. I would say it's at my restaurant Niku X, which is in LA at the Intercontinental Hotel on the second floor. And I love our A5 Wagyu.
Okay.
Like all of our, our 45 day dry aged Wagyu.
Mm-hmm. I will make note of that. And final question, podcast guest that you've dreamed of interviewing?
I think I would have wanted to interview Ruth Bader Ginsburg during her lifetime, because she had such a huge, expansive life and career, and speaking up for women. And she had a life partner that really was supportive of her. And I think that's really important too. So she would have been, obviously a huge source of wisdom. She's the first person that came to mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I love her story. I absolutely adored her. Yes, she's great. Mm-hmm. All right. So thanks for playing along in that lightning round. I kind of wanted to get to know you a little bit more.
Yes.
But unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for today. Although I'm sure we could probably go all day. Like I said, exactly. There's not a field or area that you haven't somehow touched. So we could have talked a lot more. But to our listeners, if you want to learn more about Panney's work, please check out her website at panneywei.com, PANNEYWEI.com, and you can follow her on Instagram at Panney Wei. We also want to hear from you. If you have any suggestions for future guests or topics, please feel free to reach out, and don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube for more inspiring conversations. Asian Pacific Voices Radio is produced by Asian Culture and Media Alliance, or ACMA, a nonprofit dedicated to empowering the Asian and Pacific Islander communities with a voice through media arts. If you'd like to learn more about ACMA or support our program, please visit our website at acmasocal.org. Once again, I am Joanne Whitlock, and please join us next week for another exciting and thought-provoking episode of Asian Pacific Voices Radio. See you guys later.